The Rules of Golf, helping you understand. Brought to you by BDO Chartered Accountants and Advisors. More than you think.
Today on the BDO Rules of Golf, we are talking about television, and not historical televisions like that, but this is the Golf Hall of Fame and Museum. This is Brent McLaughlin, Director of Rules and Competitions for the RCGA. But television and rules have gone hand in hand lately, and I guess for the last few years we've seen the remarkable situation where someone sitting at home, wherever they may be, can call in and have a rules penalty called on a player he watches on television. What do you think of that, Brent?
It's amazing that they can actually get the phone number to the tournament office. I know I've tried to do it. I've tried to track down Bill Paul at the Canadian Open a number of times and can't seem to get him. So it's amazing they can do that, and it's unlike any other sport. I don't think you'd ever see that in hockey, where they would stop the game to have a fan call in and say, you know, you missed a hooking penalty back there a little while ago. So golf is unique in the fact that referees aren't actually viewing the whole field of play. Most sports, they'd be out there, they'd be watching the play, they'd be watching the players and on the entire field at the same time and being able to call infractions. Golf is not like that. Rules officials are called in from quite a ways away most times and have to piece together what evidence they can find, and call-ins and other information from spectators and galleries. That's all included in making the decision.
We interviewed Camilo Villegas a few weeks ago, and of course he was one of the guys who suffered one of those penalties. He said, I don't mind when someone calls in, but if someone's going to do that, they should at least give me the chance to kind of fend for myself, and instead of being disqualified as he was for signing an incorrect scorecard, give me the penalty and let me keep playing. What do you think of that?
Well, it is an unfortunate situation when you sign a scorecard and you are disqualified. It is very final, obviously, and there's a lot of money at stake for these players as well. The rules people at the highest levels are reviewing this, and I think there is merit to what Camilo has said, that at some point, you know, if the infraction didn't benefit the player, he didn't gain any kind of significant advantage or advantage at all, and at the same time didn't know he did anything, that they at least have the committee look at it. It opens up quite a can of worms when you start doing that, because that brings into a lot of things, and I think that's why the rules makers are taking their time with this one, but it is under review.
And of course, as we were talking before, there's the whole situation of the players who are more popular. The leaders are going to be on television a lot more than the guys who are at the bottom of the pack, so they're going to be subject to a lot more scrutiny. When
you watch a typical PGA Tour event, there are groups that are targeted, usually the last 4 or 5 of the day, and then the popular players, Tiger and Phil, and those guys will get a lot of TV time, and people that lead the day, they don't necessarily get on camera a whole lot, so there is a bit of an inequity there. All
right. We'll be following this one and update you in future BDO Rules of Golf segments.
The Rules of Golf, helping you understand. Brought to you by BDO Chartered Accountants and Advisors. More than you think.
Today on the BDO Rules of Golf, we're actually going to figure out where the rules of golf come from. It's a question that we probably don't think about. We just sort of accept that they're out there, but obviously the rules change and they need to be updated. And joining me here, Brent McLaughlin, Director of Rules and Competitions for Golf Canada and the RCGA. And Brent, I guess it's a simple question, but where do the rules come from?
Well, they come from the players themselves. You know, players that are involved in the game. They have questions. They have situations that arise on the golf course that can't be answered. And those have to go somewhere, and they go to our Ask an Expert section on our website. They go to the USGA, which is the United States Golf Association, and the R&A. And those 3 governing bodies sit on what's called a joint rules committee. And when questions come in, they're debated, they're talked about, similar to, you know, things that just happened recently with TV coverage and other things that come in. They're all talked about, and if a rule change is needed, that's where it comes from.
Now, not to slight you guys at all, but I mean, the USGA we know about, and the R&A we know about, and but tell me a little bit about the background of how Golf Canada and the RCGA got onto that committee.
Well, it's an interesting story, because prior to 1956, the rule books were slightly different. The R&A's rule code and the USGA's rule code had just slight differences. They were, for the most part, the same. In 1956, the president of the RCGA, James Anglin, went to a meeting with a bunch of governing bodies, and what he decided was he was going to bring up the fact that these rules were slightly different and there should be one uniform code. Thanks to his persistence and his suggestion, they said, you know, it's a good idea, and because you brought it up, you're going to sit on the committee as well.
That's it. You got to join up. And I guess you guys meet every 4 years. Everything from technology to laser rangefinders, things you'd never think about back in James Anglin's day would have to be dealt with.
It is, and those committees deal with the new groove regulations for irons and clubs and balls and the specifications and the everyday rules that we encounter. And if they can all come to an agreement, the R&A, the USGA, and the RCGA, then that's when the rules change. They all have to be on the same page.
There you go. There's the answer to the question, where do the rules come from?